Go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. Once again, we're delighted to have Joe Dale, many of whom you will know. He's done various presentations for us before, joined us at the Summit Institute, and now he's helping us out with a range of webinars that we experience in this lockdown. So I'm sure you'll all be happy to go. And Joe, I take it away.
Thanks ever so much, Tony. That's lovely. So if I could ask everyone to mute their microphones at this point, please, and ideally turn your webcams off as well, simply because we don't, that way it will reduce the bandwidth. So if you're in a location where your bandwidth is a bit lower compared to, say, in other locations, it means the whole session will run more smoothly if that is the case. So that would be really appreciated. If I hear any extraneous noises, I'll have to click mute all, but I have been very clear. If everyone could mute their microphones at this point, that'd be really handy. Thank you. Right, and if you're not sure how to mute your microphone, bottom left of the screen, you click on the mute microphone option there, and then you'll be good to go. So I'm delighted again to be offered this opportunity to present a webinar around, in this case, formative assessment ideas in remote teaching of the languages. Thank you to the British Council and Qatar Foundation International for giving me this opportunity. It's an absolute pleasure for me to do this, and I've been doing lots and lots of webinars at the moment around remote teaching ideas, and I hope that you find this one particularly useful. You can see that my contact details are on the screen there, so I'm at Joe Dale on Twitter. If you want to send me a message on Twitter, I'm more than happy to field any questions. If you want to tweet during the session, that's fine as well. If you want to take screenshots of my screen and then tweet out a link, that's fine. My email address is joedale@talk21.com as well. So if you want to send me an email during the next few days, or the next week or so, if there's anything you can't understand, or if you can't read your notes, then that's absolutely fine as well. As I've said already, I'm recording the whole session. I'm also going to present I'm going to share the whole presentation with you as well, which will be on the last slide. So if you want to take notes, you can, or if you just want to watch and concentrate, then that's absolutely fine as well. As I've said before, I think we started recording, if you have a question, feel free to put that in the chat. If you can put a Q in front of it, it makes it nice and clear for everybody that that is the case. I will try and deal with questions there and then when they come up, because I find that's very useful. But if I'm being bombarded by questions, I might say, okay, we'll deal with some of these questions at the end, in which case either Vicky or Tony, if it's okay, could collect those questions, and then we can deal with those at the end. So we're gonna have the webinar for about an hour or so, and in this one we're particularly focusing on formative assessment ideas for all 4 skills: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. So this is what we're going to try and achieve in this session. As you can see, we're going to start off by looking at Mentimeter. We're going to delve into how to create a Mentimeter activity to ask questions and check understanding. We're then going to go through Google Forms and all the different ways you can use that in languages in particular. Then we're going to have a look at Socrative and how to make self-marking vocabulary tests. Then Quizizz for remote listening comprehension. I particularly like the audio questions that you get in Quizizz. And then we'll finish off by looking at Wheel of Names and Flippity as a way of chunking language and using sentence builders as a way of practicing speaking and writing as well. So lots of ideas that can help with the preparation of GCSE, Key Stage 4, formative assessment, although you could use these ideas as well at Key Stage 3 also. So we've got lots to get through, so let's crack on. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at Mentimeter. So not only am I going to do a few questions with you on Mentimeter, I'm then going to show you how to create one as well. So if I come out of my presentation now and I go into Mentimeter and I click on Present, I'm going to show you what this looks like first of all, and then I'll show you how to make your own. So as you can see on the screen, it's asking you to go to menti.com and use the code 48619. So you can either use a second device, or if you want to use the device that you're on right now, if you go into your browser. So to do that, you can do Alt and Tab on your keyboard. If you have a keyboard with you now, just press Alt and Tab. That will take you out of Zoom and go into your browser. Or if you're using a second device, then that's fine as well. Go to menti.com, please, and put in the code 48619. So I'll just put that in the chat for you if it's not clear. You go to menti.com and you put in the code 48619. 619. Sometimes it's a 6-figure code, and sometimes it's a 5-figure code. In this one, it's a 6-figure code. So you can see the question is, how do you feel about remote teaching your classes? And immediately we have 2 answers, one of which is challenged and one of which is I feel great. So a real range there. I'm going to give you a bit more time, obviously, to post some other ideas into the Mentimeter. So this one is creating a word cloud. So there are different exercise types you can create. I'm going to show you a few different examples in the next 3 slides, and then I'm going to show you how to create your own. So we've got I feel great, challenge, confident. The reason I feel great is larger than the other ones is because of the fact that more than one person has written I feel great. There is a profanity filter on this, which means that if someone were to use an inappropriate word, it would block it. But if you wanted to really use like a different character or use a slang word, that probably would get through, in which case you'd have to then just either blank the screen or go onto another slide or stop the presentation, just to be very sort of transparent with you about that. So I'm absolutely delighted to see that most of you are feeling very positive about remote teaching, which is really awesome to see. So I'll just give you another couple of seconds just to put in some other answers if you'd like. I also think that this word cloud activity is very nice for practicing speaking. So as you can see here, I'm reacting in real time to what people are posting. So if you were writing this in the language that you were teaching, it means that the students can then react to that interactively. You can interact with what they have written. You can ask them questions in the target language about what they've written, etc. This is also really nice for retrieval practice, in the sense that I can ask a question about, post all the vocabulary that you can remember that we did from last lesson or the week before, the month before, what have you. It's a really nice way of practicing retrieval practice as well. And I'm really, really delighted to see all these positive messages as well on the screen. That is lovely to see. Right, let's go on to the next slide. So to go on to the next slide, what I do is I go to the bottom left of the screen. I hover over the bottom left and a toolbar appears. And you can see that a little arrow now has appeared on the right-hand side. So if I click on that, it takes me to slide 2. So this is like a bar chart type of slide that you can create. And this is one way of using this. In this particular example, I'm asking you what video conferencing tools you're using. If you are doing live lessons, it might be that you're not doing live lessons. But if you are doing live lessons, could you write down on the screen, or select on the screen if you're using Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, or other. If you are using a different one, can you maybe put in the chat what is the other one that you're using? Because it'd be interesting to know. And if you're not doing live lessons, could you maybe put that in the chat as well, just to say that you're not teaching live lessons? So just to get a range of ideas. So I can see that at the moment, in the session we're doing right now, most people are using Microsoft Teams, which is interesting. I used Microsoft Teams the other day with the British Council, and it's fine. The only thing that I find a bit distracting is the fact you can't see everybody on the screen at the same time with everyone's webcams. You can only see a handful of people, but you can see who's in the meeting by clicking on participants, but you can't actually see their faces, which is definitely something at the moment, I think, which is really nice to be able to see people's faces and connect with them from that point of view. So again, there's 2 people in the chat, 2 people have written other. It'd be nice to know what you're using. Skype. Okay, so some of you are using Skype. That's interesting. So yeah, Skype has its place, but I think that you might find Zoom or Teams has a few more features that could be very useful, I think. But whatever is useful is fine. And no one's using Google Meet, which is interesting because that's completely free now. And you can add various extensions which allow you to then see the whole screen, to see everyone's thumbnails in their video webcams as well. So that's really nice as well. Now you could have a statement such as, online teaching is a good idea. And then underneath, you could have, instead of the options that I have there, you could write something like, strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree. So in other words, you have a statement there, and you're able to see what the answers are that people have written in, and then interact with that in real time. So that's another way of using this sort of bar chart option. Okay, let's go on to the next page. So the next one is this one. Okay, so again, what tools are you currently using to teach, teaching language. Hang on, what tells you can't use it? Sorry, that's a typo. I should have said to teach languages remotely, not to teaching languages remotely. Apologies for that. In fact, I will just come out of this very quickly and just change the typo on that. As you can imagine, I've been doing quite a lot of preparation recently on different presentations, and we all make mistakes. So to teach languages, that's fine. I will then present that again. There we are. That's much better, isn't it? Okay, so again, here, this is what's called the open-ended activity type. So if you can put in your answers here, if you're using, for example, Teams or what have you, but it would be nice to know the sorts of other tools that you're using in order to share ideas. So some of you using Google Classroom, some of you using Teams. I presume you're using things like Quizlet and things like that as well. It'd be nice to get a nice feel for how people are using these sorts of things. So a couple of you using Classroom. Okay, I'll give you a bit more time to do this. I can see, yeah, Fatima, you're using PowerPoints and competitions on Teams and emails. That's nice. So when you're saying competitions on Teams, do you mean polls and that sort of thing? If you don't know, on Teams, there's an add-on called Polly, P-O-L-L-Y, which allows you to create polls within Microsoft Teams, which you might want to check out if you haven't heard of that already. So we've got Linguiscope, Mentimeter, ThingLink. Yeah, ThingLink's a very nice one. We did a webinar that's on my YouTube channel with Francois Stolder, who is a languages teacher in Budapest at the American International School there. And he did a webinar all about using ThingLink to have a virtual adventure, which is very cool. Okay, so we've got a few examples there. That's really nice. Our language nut as well. That's fantastic. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to click on Exit. I'm going to give you a brief idea on how to make this yourself. But before I do that, if I click on the Home option, and I go to the export results option, if I click on that now, then what will happen is it will generate a PDF of everyone's answers, which it's done it right now. So if I click on that now, it's going to now create a PDF, right? Can you see? So you've got all the answers there in one PDF, which is very nice. Or if you prefer, what you can do is you can export each individual slide as a separate image, which is another possibility. So I'm just going to close that now and go back here. If I want to export each one as an image, I just click on the download high resolution option there. Okay, if I go back to where it says your presentations and I click on new presentation and give it a title. So we'll call this one Arabic BC2 test and click create presentation. Okay, it then looks a bit like a PowerPoint type interface. So, you know, very familiar, I think, to lots of you. So let's say we want to create a word cloud activity. If I click on word cloud here, and then I ask a question. So I could say, for example, how do you feel about remote teaching? Okay, yeah, question mark. You choose the number of entries you have per participant. I normally have a large number, like 8. This is the profanity filter. So if you click on that, you can click select all. So you can see that there's a range of languages there. Not every language is covered, but you do have a range of languages there. At the bottom, it says let participants submit multiple times. If it's a word cloud, I would recommend that you do that. So I would then tick that box. If it's the open-ended one, the last one that I showed you, I wouldn't recommend it because you're going to have too many answers to deal with. But in the word cloud, it's absolutely fine to do it in that way. So that's the word cloud activity. If I then click on add slide, it creates a new slide option. So for this one, if I click on, for example, multiple choice, like that, and I then write in my question. So I could say, for example, online teaching is a good idea. So that's obviously a statement. And then under the options, I write strongly agree, disagree, and then I click add to get another option, and I have strongly disagree. Okay. So there's not like a right or wrong answer here. It's designed to get your opinion. And you can see as well, if you want to, you can add images for the answers as well. I've not bothered with that. And it will even accept animated GIFs. If you're into animated GIFs, that's how that one works as well. Now, if you want to add a third slide, the first time you do this, it asks you for an email address of a friend But I know through experience that if you just write in a made up email address, such as mickey@mickeymouse.com, it will work. And once you've done that once, it will work forever from then on. So you'll, for free, you have access to 3 slides per presentation and unlimited presentations, which I think is great for plenaries or starters. So if I click add slide now, and I go to, for example, the open-ended one, okay, here we have the title open-ended. So I could say, for example, a question such as, give me an example of what we've covered today. Okay, so a type of exit ticket if you want. So that means, because we have speech bubbles selected, it means that you will then all be able to post your answers on the screen. And because it's designed to be anonymous, if you wanted to see who had written what, you could then ask the students to add their names as well. And then you could say, right, once you've added that and I've ticked you off, as it were, I can then let you leave the room, the Zoom room, whatever you're using. So that's a nice exit ticket idea. For this one, as you can see, it says let participants submit multiple times. I wouldn't do that with this one because you're going to have too many answers to deal with. But that's essentially how it works. So once you've created your presentation, you simply click present. You do that live, you give the code to the students, and we do the activity in the way that I've just shown you. So I can see that we've got a question that's just come in. Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, you can use Arabic in Mentimeter. I'm not sure if the word cloud works with Arabic, but it definitely works with the exit ticket idea that I've just mentioned. So with the open-ended answers, you definitely can write Arabic, because I've used it in places like Algeria with Arabic speakers. So yes, you can use Arabic in certain activity types, but I don't think it works with the word cloud one. You'll have to check it out. So there we are. Good question. Okay, so hopefully that's okay with Mentimeter, and that's clear on how to set it up and how it works. So let's carry on. Let's go to the next slide. So it's loading up now. There we are. Okay, here are some examples of using Mentimeter. As you can see, these are all from language teachers from secondary. So top left, we've got Jude saying, use Mentimeter today with year 9. Brilliant for creating revision tools. 1 of 2 errors, but we can sort those out and have another go next week, which is lovely. So you can see that here, she's asking the students to write in phrases using the imperfect plus conditional phrase, if plus imperfect plus conditional. Okay. On the right-hand side, Karen has written the statement, my back hurts because, and then all the students are giving in different answers in the perfect tense. On the left-hand side, I've made a little GIF of this, which is quite cool, I think. And Andres, who's a teacher in Malaysia, he's using the multiple choice option, but using a visual prompt. So he's got 9 pictures of dogs, and you're able to then say how you're feeling in representation of one of those dog images. So let's go back and see what the bar chart looks like again. Right, so the most popular one is option 6 or option 9. So if we look at that picture again, we can see that 6 is sort of growling and 9 is sort of, I don't know, looking a bit bemused. So that's quite a nice one as well to be able to do. And then on the right-hand side, this was in a session that I was doing at a conference in 2018. So as you can see, I asked the question, how can you assess how your school can effectively integrate apps and online resources to promote pupil engagement and develop out-of-school learning? And we had lots and lots of answers there appearing from all the people that were in the room, which is about 250 people, if I remember correctly. So that's Mentimeter. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at speaking, and I'm going to do this live for you. So I'm just going to come out of my presentation. This is using what's called QWIQR Conversations. And I don't think that many people have heard of this one. So it's a really nice one to show to people because it's probably new to most of you. So I go to what's called QWIQR Education. I'll just put this in the chat for you so you can see what it is. And I'm going to give you a special link in a moment, which will help you as well. So let's click here, right? So what you do is you click create instant feedback on this screen here. Okay, so this is just on the home page. You do need to create an account, which you can do for free, but the students don't need an account to do this, which is great. So I then scroll down and you can see it says start a QWIQR conversation. So I click on start a conversation like this. and then I can record my audio, and I can record my audio on any device. I'm on my PC right now, but I could use my iPad if I wanted to. So I'm going to click record right now like this. Here we go. Blah, 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 blah. This is me practicing the first line of a dialogue, or it could be my presentation, recording the audio of my presentation. I'm now going to press stop. Okay, that uploads onto the servers, which are based in Europe. This was designed by a physics teacher in the southwest of England, and it is therefore GDPR compliant in the way that he's using it, and he takes privacy very seriously, which is really lovely to see. So there's my recording. I could also add a photo if I wanted to, or I could add a text message as well, or a web link as well. Now, what I particularly like about this is the fact that it says moderate this conversation. So if I click on that option there, that means that any audio which is sent to me, I get to moderate first. So I'm going to click Start Your QWIQR Conversation, like that. And then I wait for a moment. There we are. And now it's appearing on the screen. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this link that's in the address bar, and I'm going to post it for you right now.
The voice is getting too weak.
I'm sorry?
The voice is getting too weak. I can't hear you very well.
Well, you need to turn up your volume. That might be to do with your internet connection, but I think I'm speaking very clearly for everybody. But if you can't...
Anything.
Okay, well, all I can suggest is that you need to maybe change your microphone, change your headphones, or turn your volume up. But I think, am I right in saying that everyone can hear me absolutely fine? Can you let me know in the chat, please? Yeah, I think it's fine. It's to do with your system. So what you need to do is you either need to restart your computer, or you need to change your headphones or turn your volume up. So I'm just going to get my iPad, which is literally right next to me. Just give me 2 seconds. I just realized I've plugged it in. 2 seconds.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've got my iPad now. I've just posted a link into the chat, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you live now how this works. So I'm going to click on the QR code option here on my screen. This is a Chrome extension which I've got installed, which is called the QR code extension. And I'm going to scan the QR code, which I've got on my screen. Feel free to scan it as well if you'd like to. So I tap on the little notification that's just come up. And as a result of this, I can now record a message and it will go straight into my QWIQR conversation thread. So it's coming up now. I tap on the microphone on my screen, on my iPad screen, like this. And I then get the option to record. So I'm going to record my response on my iPad like this. Here we go. Okay. Am I recording? Yeah, I'm recording. Right. Okay. So, okay. This is the second part of my conversation, or it could be audio feedback to a student presentation. And by doing this, you can have a back and forth dialogue or conversation, or you can practice a speaking presentation, give audio feedback with one student or with multiple students in a breakout room or in a whole session. So this is a really nice asynchronous way of practicing speaking. So I press stop now. It uploads and you should be able to see it live on my screen in a second. Right, so if I refresh the page, it should come up automatically. There it is. Can you see? That's my response. Oh, what's happened to it? There we are. Right, if I click play now. Okay. Am I recording? Yeah, I'm recording. Right. Okay. So, okay. This is the second part of my conversation. So that's working fine. So I would absolutely love you to record something for me right now using the same link. If one person could do that, that would make my day, just to show you how you can do this remotely. So it's not just me recording myself, as it were. So if you want to do that on the link that I've just shared in the chat with you, which I can do again if you've lost it, I can just put that in the chat again. There we are. You click on that link, you click the microphone option, and you can do this on any device, on a mobile device, on a tablet, etc. You record your response. It should then appear on the screen, and then I can then show you how each new piece of audio, which hasn't come from me, can then be moderated. So if anyone could do that now, that would be really, really great. There we are. So I can see now that this has now appeared. If I could ask everyone to mute their microphones on their laptops, please, or use a second device. We're not being disturbed by anyone's audio, if that's okay. So as you can see, what's happening now is I've got the audio on my screen. so I can listen to it.
Assalamu alaikum. This is my response.
And that's excellent. Thank you so much for the person that posted that. I can now click approve. Okay, so I love the moderation feature here. I can now listen to the other one. So as you can see, what's happening now is I've got... Okay, so I can approve that as one as well. And then this one. That's okay. So
thank you so much
what's happening
for
now
your CPD.
on my screen. Thank you. And so as you can see, the audio sounds really clear because you've got the microphone near your mouth. There's no problems with the sound. It sounds really good. So all of your audio is all coming through loud and clear, and everyone can now access that audio. Now, if I wanted to lock the conversation, which is the padlock at the bottom, I click on that, and that means I can now lock the conversation, which means no one else can then post onto that thread, which is also really nice. So I'm going to do that right now. So by doing that, it means that you can have the audio available for a certain amount of time, as in the option to record audio. You can then moderate the conversation, which I absolutely love. So you can listen to all the audio as the teacher before it goes live. So the only person that's heard it's the person that's recorded it. You can then approve that audio if it's appropriate. You can then give feedback to the audio that someone's used. So this could be good for dialogue work, or it could be good for giving the students the link. They then record their presentation either individually or as part of a group. And then you get to listen to everyone, and then you give feedback, or the students could give feedback to each other. And then you can lock the conversation, which means no one else can then add anything to that conversation. And if you wanted to add a text message as well, you could do that. Or if you wanted to add a photo, so you could share a photo with the students. They could all then record a narration of that photo. Case in point, well done, the person that's just posted that. I can then approve that, and away you go. So there we are. That's really, really lovely, I think. It's absolutely fabulous. So if you haven't seen that before, I would really encourage you to check that out for GCSE speaking practice, although you could use it for Key Stage 3 as well if you wanted to. And thank you ever so much for everyone that posted some audio for me. That was brilliant. Right, let's go back. Oh, and on this screen as well, there is a YouTube clip of me describing what I've just shown to you, plus a Vimeo clip as well of when I did the same thing in an event recently called a Teach Meet. So you've got both the links there as well if you want to watch those in your own time. Okay, I've also written a very long blog post for the Facebook group Modern Languages Teachers Lounge, which I was in residence in April of this year, so a couple of months ago. And I wrote a few articles around remote teaching ideas in languages, one of which was this one, Speaking Homework and Exam Revision. And essentially, I've written down all the ideas I could possibly think of around practicing speaking, which is a question which was coming up a lot that people were asking me. And so I thought I would just share all my ideas, years and years of research on using different ideas for speaking. And as a result of that, when people ask me that question in the future, all I have to do is just send them the link, and they can then read about it in their own time and learn all the different ways in which you can practice speaking, depending on which platform you're using. Or some that will work with a bring your own device policy as well. So there we are. Okay, let's carry on. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is look at Google Forms. Probably some of you are using Google Forms already, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through a Google form which I created, which essentially showcases lots of different question types that you can use. Now, I was really inspired by a friend of mine, Chris Betcher, who is from north of Sydney, in Australia. I've actually had the opportunity of staying with him one time a couple of years ago when I was in Australia. And he posted this link a few weeks ago, which was essentially showcasing different question types that you could use, generally speaking, in a Google form. And I was really inspired by this. So what I thought would be good would be if I were to make a language-specific example, which I'm going to go through you right now. And I'm also going to give you a copy of it so you can then make your own version of it as well. So if I click on this link right now, this will show us what the form looks like. So I'm not going to go through how to create a form because we haven't really got lots of time to do that. But here, as you can see, I put the link to the original form there, and then it describes how to make a form, which if I show you quickly, if I click on the edit option here, what you do is you make your Google form. In fact, let me just show you. It's going to be easy if I just extract. Right. So if I go to a new tab and I go to form new, like this. Okay, this is how you get your form. And to turn it into a quiz, you click on the cog icon and you click on Quizizz and you select make this a quiz. And as a result of that, it then turns your form into a quiz. Okay, so I'm not going to create an actual form for you now. I just want to show you all these different examples which I've created in this particular form, and then show you how to make a copy of it. So the first question I always put in is, what is your surname? Now, the reason I do that is because when you create the Google Sheet with all the answers in, you can then order alphabetically all the people's names. And if they're in alphabetical order, they will then match the mark book that you have for your students, which is a really nice tip, I think. If I click on the plus icon here to add a question, this is where the question appears here. You can see it says multiple choice, which is one of the options. You've also got short answer, checkbox, drop down, linear scale, multiple choice grid, tick box grid, etc. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the different examples, and each one is made very clear which exercise type it's using. So you would then just be able to copy the idea and replicate it in your own context. Okay, just going to get rid of that now, like that. So yeah, the first question is always, what is your surname? The second question is always, what is your first name? And then we've got different question types here. So this one, for example, this is a multiple choice one. So a lot of these examples are in French, but I'm going to show you a Spanish one as well in a moment, which someone else has created. So this is a multiple choice one. And what I've done is I've given a description on how to set this up with tips and tricks as well. So you can see, for example, the question is, what is the past participle of the verb aller in French? So there's only one right answer here. And you just basically select the button here. So this is the editable version. I want to see the preview. So the question is there a limit in number of questions? No, there's no limit. You can have as many questions as you want. So I'm now looking at what the form looks like live. So here, if I click on the radio button, it then selects it that way, as it were. Now, the next one is which picture represents la natation in French, which, as we all know, it means swimming. So it's going to be A. But what I've done here is I've added one image per response, which you can do very easily following these instructions here. So this is, again, a multiple choice question, but you've got images for each option, which is really nice, I think. It makes it look very cool, and it gives, for the visual learners, the opportunity of being able to get a little bit more support on answering this question. We go down to the next one. This one is when I've used the snipping tool, but there's also a Google Form add-on called Snip, which you might want to have a look at, which I've put the link in there. And essentially what I've done is I've taken a screenshot of an example text, which I actually created in Google Drawing, but you could take an example text from, for example, a worksheet that you've used, turn it to an image, add it into your Google Form, and away you go. So in other words, I could then have the same text multiple times in each question. I've then got a multiple choice question here. So I've got the question, what language is this text written in? So a very simple example. And then you've got 4 options, and then you simply select the correct one. But you could use a Google Form as a reading comprehension exercise, and it's all self-marking, which is very nice. The next one is a multiple choice one again, but this one I've used the picture at the top, and I've also used pictures for the different answers, which is another possibility. So in this one, the question is, how is this person feeling? And it's either this one or this one. So you then select the correct picture according to the picture above. So if you want to have lots of pictures for more visual support, then that's a nice idea as well. The next one is also multiple choice. So this is a true or false question. So you put in a statement. Google Form allows you to use images and questions. Is that true or false? So you then select the correct answer. The next one is a little bit more complicated, but a really nice idea, I think. So this one, you've actually got audio in the separate answers. So to do that, I'm going to demonstrate this live right now. I've used the tool called Online Voice Recorder. Like this, Online Voice Recorder. You could use Vocaroo, which is another possibility, which I'm going to mention later on, Vocaroo. But if I use this one, it works really nicely. So what I'm going to do is click on Online Voice Recorder. This is what it looks like. I'll share this in the chat with you right now as well, if you want to check it out. It works on all devices, including iPads, as well as Vocaroo does as well. So I record my message like this, Here we go. Okay, so this is an example of me using online voice recorder to make an audio message, which I can then upload into Google Drive, and I can insert into a Google form, or I could insert it into a Google Slides presentation as well, using insert audio and have audio in my Google Slides presentation. So I'm going to press stop right now, and I'll show you the next part. Here we go. So I've just done that. I can now top and tail the recording by moving the little playheads here. I can have a quick listen to what it sounds like this. Show you the next part. Here we go. Oh, let's click at the beginning. There we are. Press play. Okay, so this is an example of me using online voice. There we are. So that's what it looks like. If I now want to click save, I do that. It automatically creates an MP3 file. So I'm going to call this one Arabic BC 2. Okay, click save like that. And now I'm going to go into my Google Drive. And it so happens I have a folder called Audio Google Forms Test. So I'm going to click New, and I'm going to click File Upload. So I select my audio, which is here, and I click Open. So that now uploads into here. So I can see we've got a few questions. Can you upload it onto Microsoft Teams? So yeah, so with Microsoft Teams, you can also create your own Microsoft form, which is similar to Google Forms. So to create a Google form, you need to have a Gmail address, but you can allow the students to do the form without having an email address. But if you go to Microsoft Forms, you can do a similar idea. And I've also got a link which I can share with you if I get a moment on how to add audio into a Microsoft form. But let me just do this one first, and I'll come back to you to that in a second. So you can see I've got my MP3 here. If I just go back to where it says My Drive, and I go down to Audio Google Forms Test, if I right-click that, this is incredibly important. If you click on Get Shareable Link, which is what you have to do, that means that any audio you put into that folder, it will be able to be accessed by someone who isn't who doesn't need to have a Google account. You don't need to. It won't say you need to access permission to access this. So by doing this, to make it anyone with a link and viewer, then it will then work. You can also go into the folder and just double check. If I right click this again and click Get Shareable Link, you can see that that will now work. So you simply click Copy Link. You then go back to your form and you paste in the link for the different answers. So you just record the 4 separate bits of audio, and that's how you can have audio as possible answers in your Google form. Right, I'm just going to quickly find, if I go onto Twitter quickly, let me just give me 2 seconds. I'll give you the link for the Microsoft Forms and how to do this. So if I go here and I go to Miss G. Enrique, who is a Spanish native speaker who is working in Ireland. And there we are. Can you see? She's got her link here, and she's got a little video clip describing how to add audio into Microsoft Forms, which I'm going to share with you right now. So creating a Microsoft Forms equivalent to what I'm showing you right now, it's another possibility. And if you go onto YouTube and do a search for Microsoft Forms, it'll go through the basics of how to do this. Okay. Right. So let's carry on. This is a matching activity. So we've got multiple choice grid. So you've got matching up the French pets with the English equivalent. So that's simple, and I've given you the instructions on how to do that. So that's a multiple choice grid as opposed to just multiple choice. This one is a reordering activity. So you have to say which order the statements go. This one is a dialogue one, also using multiple choice grid. So here, I would recommend that if you have longer text, that you always have it in the row headers, which are on the left-hand side here, whereas the content you can add along the top, along the column headers, is always smaller. So that's why it's not a good idea to put your sentences here. It's better to have them on the left-hand side in the row headers instead. And I wouldn't have more than 9 options in the dialogue activity, because otherwise you get the scrolling toolbar which appears, which doesn't make it very manageable to then to access that particular question. This one is called a drop down. This is if you've got more than, well, if you have lots of answers in your multiple choice. So the actual answer here is être, because the question is which of the following verbs doesn't use être in the passé composé. So actually all of these are correct apart from the last one. So you simply select the last one and then it will then mark it for you once you submit it. This one is a checkbox one. So this is when you've got more than one possible answer. So in here, which of these verbs is regular in French? So 2 of them are regular, 2 of them are irregular. So you select the 2 which are regular. That's quite a nice one, I think. This one I've used the same activities before, e.g. recording my audio and putting it into Google Drive in that same folder. So the students can then click on that link like this. They then, it opens up a new page. If I press play, you can then hear the audio back like this.
Le week-end dernier, je suis allé au cinéma avec mon ami Bob.
So you see,
On a vu le dernier film de James Bond.
okay, you see that's the audio there. But what is now happening is because I've used the checkbox option, the students then have to listen to the audio and then they have to select the statements which are true and the statements which are not true in relation to the audio. So for listening comprehension, I think that's really nice. Let's carry on. So here you've got the fill in the blank option. So you've got your text here and it says je blank la télévision. You've got the verb in brackets, so you simply have to conjugate the correct verb and then write it in the where it says your answer underneath, which is the short answer possibility. This one, you've got a video clip. You can add a video clip from YouTube and then you can then get the students to listen to the clip, give them the question, and then they then have to write the answer in the short answer option underneath. This one is called a tick box grid. So again, there's more than one correct answer here. So it's asking you which of these nouns or expressions goes with jouer au and which ones goes with faire de la. So some of them do and some of them don't, which is great. And this penultimate one, this is when you use Vockaroo. So if I just show you this one live, if I click on the link and go to Vockaroo, then I can then click record like this. Okay, so this is an example of me using Vockaroo as a way of practicing my speaking. I'm recording my audio right now, and I then click stop. I click save and share. I click the copy option, which is here. I go back to the form, and I then post in my answer like that. I can then submit that, and that means in the Google Sheet, which comes up, the teacher can then listen to all the audio and then can assess it manually, as it were. It won't self-mark that one, but it's a nice way of practicing speaking using a Google form. And then in the last example, we've got a linear scale. So you can then write down how you feel about the form or this particular question. Online learning is a good idea. So you then click one of the radio buttons to show how you feel. So that's again, not self-marked, but that's all about promoting student voice. And then you click submit, and then all the answers are then go into your Google Sheet, or all the answers go into your responses. So if I just give you an idea of that, if I go back to this one, which is what my the editable version of the form looks like. If I click on responses here, then you can see that all my responses are now here on the screen. These are just from teachers who have very kindly filled in my form. Okay, but if I click on the Google Sheet little icon here, the green one, it will generate a Google Sheet, which is it's done right here, right now. And you can see I've got the question, what is your surname? So if I click on the arrow here, I can choose sort sheet A to Z. And now suddenly they're in alphabetical order. So it means that will then match your mark book. Okay. Is it possible to share this quiz with us as it is many good? Yeah, of course. That's literally what I'm going to do right now. So if I click on the my presentation, if I click on this link right now, this is what's called a hard copy. So if I share this link with you right now, it means that if you click on that link, it will automatically create a copy of my quiz, and then you can then go through all the instructions and make your own. That's the whole point. Yeah. So well done. Thank you for asking that as a reminder. So that's Google Forms. That will give you some ideas on how to make your forms a bit more interesting. If you go onto YouTube as well, there are lots and lots of Google Form tutorials as well, which you can check out. Okay. Here's an example in Spanish. So this was a lady who replied to my comment on a Facebook group where I posted my Google Form example questions, and she used that Google Form to make her own answer, her own Google Form example in Spanish. So you can see here, she's got the email address at the top. What is your name? What is your class? She's then added images using a sentence builder. She's added images in multiple choice, etc., etc., etc. So again, if you click on the link at the bottom there, when I share the presentation with you, you can check that out in your own time. Right, we'll have a quick look at Quizizz. Quizizz is a little bit like Kahoot, which is also really nice for formative assessment. Here's some examples from teachers using Quizizz. So you can see that this school, Forest School, have said, Year 8 just played a marvellous Quizizz to finish off our lesson this morning. So it's a nice way, in a remote teaching context, of finishing off the lesson with a bang, as it were, by doing this sort of gamification type activity. You've got Karine there who's saying, love a good Quizizz at the end of a live lesson with my AS students to recap the future tense, retrieval practice. King's Ely are saying, Year 9 students using Quizizz for self-assessment, exercise to test writing accuracy in languages. I particularly like this one. This is Katie Lockett, who used to work in China. And she said that one of her students had said, I'm loving it. And on seeing the data at the end, oh, that's cool. You could send that to our parents, which I think is great. And then you've got Andres as well, who I mentioned already. And he's using Bitmojis to make his own memes in Quizizz, which you can do. So in other words, when the children get the correct answer, you can add an image which then appears on the screen automatically saying, well done, you can do this. And likewise, if they get the incorrect answer, you can also have a meme which can come up as well. And he's using Bitmojis to do that, which I think is very cool. So if we go on to the next slide, we're actually going to do this one live. So I'm going to click exit right now. And I'm going to go to Quizizz. So to do that, I'm going to just launch a new tab and go to Quizizz right now. It should log me in straight away. There we are. I'm going to do a British Council Indonesian one that I did recently, which, as you can see, has 458 times it's been played. And I'm going to click play live and continue. Okay, and then on your screen, you can see it says joinmyquiz.com, and it gives you a code. So can you all please do this right now? Go to joinmyquiz.com, and the code is 970583. Okay, so you'll all start to appear on my screen, hopefully in a minute. And then I'm going to show you how Quizizz works, but in particular, in this exercise type, I'm focusing on listening comprehension. So I've recorded my audio asking different questions, and I will show you live in a moment once you've done the quiz on how to do this yourself. So I'll just give you a moment to join the meeting, if that's okay. So if you haven't seen Quizizz before, it's very similar to Kahoot, but one of the main differences in, say, multiple choice question is you get to see the questions on your screen, or the answer, sorry, on your screen, as opposed to Kahoot when you've got to be looking at the screen. So you always have to have a split screen using Kahoot in a remote teaching context, whereas Quizizz, you don't need to do that because the answers are on your screen. So in a moment when we start, you'll see the different audio players appearing. Towards the end, the questions are the same, or some of the questions are the same, but you can see, you'll be able to hear my dulcet tones describing the question, and then we'll start in a minute. So I'll give you another second or two just to join the session, and then we'll start, because I appreciate we've only got a few minutes to go. So once you're ready, I will click start. Should we just go for it? Let's just go for it. If I click start, okay. I'm now going to mute the audio, otherwise it gets distracting. You can't hear the audio, the listening section. So there we are. So I've just muted the audio. And the idea of this activity is for you to listen to the audio in the questions and then click on the correct multiple choice possibility. So there are different exercise types you can do with Quizizz, but I love the audio question possibilities. So I'm just going to give you a moment to answer those questions. So you click on the play, listen to the audio, and then you select the correct answer. Okay. Well done, everyone. Keep going. Excellent stuff. So if I had the music playing, you wouldn't be able to hear the audio. That's why I always recommend muting the audio for the music. Keep going, everyone. You're doing really well. Who's going to win? Let's see. Well done, Emma. Okay, because we haven't got a lot of time left, I'm going to click end game, if that's okay. But well done, everyone. So I click end game. And are you sure you want to end the game? Yes. So we're going to end the game. And we can then see who has been the quickest finger. Well done, Vicky. Excellent stuff. Okay. So Vicky was the fastest. So well done. You can then see that you can download the results. It's an Excel spreadsheet, which is particularly good at Key Stage 4 to see where the children are at and then what you need to do to put in intervention strategies to help them. You've got all the results there. I wouldn't necessarily show all the results to the children live. I can see that, Tuka, you're asking for the code, but because we've done the activity now, then that will always be on the screen, I think. I'm right in saying you can click on review questions, you can play again, you get the idea. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to click exit. Okay. And I'm going to, where it says my quizzes, and this is the one that we've just played. So if I click on this now and I click edit, and I go down to the bottom. This is where I choose the exercise type. So I'm going to choose multiple choice, and I'm going to put in the question, which is listen to the audio and select the right answer. Okay. Then you click on the media option here, and you can see it says audio new. So you click on audio. And you can either upload an MP3 file or you can record it directly. So let's go for it. So, what is the capital of France? So I've now done that. I click play. You can record for 10 seconds per audio, which is plenty to ask a question, I think. Here we go. What is the capital of France? So that's fine. So then I click save. Then I put in the different answers. So obviously I'm going to put in the correct answer as well as the other ones. Okay, and then you need to put a tick next to the one that is actually correct. And you can add an image as well if you want to. So you've done that, and then click save. And there it is. That's now been added to my collection. Okay, so if I wanted to go back up to the top and click done, you can see that I can play it live as we did a moment ago, but I can also click on assign homework, and that will generate a link, which I can then share with the students via Google Classroom or Teams. And that means they can then play on that activity during the week if they want to. So if I click on assign homework, I can choose the date when it starts. I can choose the due date. And that's really, really useful, I think. And there's other options here as well. If you go further down, you can see other things that you can configure as well. So that's giving you a little introduction on Quizizz and how you can use it, particularly at GCSE, for listening comprehension practice. We've done listening comprehension, speaking comprehension, as well as reading and writing as well. So if I go back to my presentation, which is here, we haven't got a lot of time left, but I just want to show you another couple of things. So the next thing is Socrative. I'm not going to show this to you live because we haven't got time, but if you go onto YouTube and do a search for Socrative tutorial, it will go through what to do. These are just a few quotes from people. So Socrative is like a formative assessment quiz. You've got different short answer opportunities. You've got, for example, multiple choice, short answer, and true or false. And you can also pre-make a quiz as well and assign that to the students and play it live. So it's a live activity you do in a synchronous lesson. but it generates an Excel spreadsheet with everyone's answers. It's really nice, but unfortunately, we haven't got enough time to do this right now. But if you go onto YouTube and look for a Socrative tutorial, you'll find lots of examples on how to do this. And these are just a few quotes on how it can be useful in languages. You create the teacher login, you generate the room code, you give the room code to the students, and then away you go. Okay, what I do want to show you quickly is this one. This is using what's called Flippity Randomiser. I'm just going to show you this live to you. So this is good for speaking practice at GCSE. So this is using what's called a sentence builder, whereby you have different columns, and in each column you have a list of expressions. The students get to choose one expression from each column, and then it will then generate a random sentence, which you could then use as for example, a translation race. So this could then come up on the screen, and then it's the first student to then write a correct translation on how to what that phrase then means. So if I click on the little wheel here, you can see that they all spin. And then in this example, we've got je déteste faire du bowling en hiver, mais quand il fait froid. So if you don't know what that means, it means I hate going bowling in the winter, but when it is cold. And then you can then click again, and it will then create a new expression. So in other words, you can use this as a way of generating lots of language randomly based on the content that you're covering in class. Okay. Another little thing that you can do as well, which is quite nice, is if you highlight the text like this and you right click it, you can see that one of the options I've got is called Helper Bird. And that's because I've installed the Chrome extension called Helper Bird, which allows me to use what's called Immersive Reader, which is actually a Microsoft tool, but this is a way of doing this in the browser. So I can highlight any text I want, click on Immersive Reader, and it will automatically recognize the language that the text is in. So if I click play now, you should be able to hear it being pronounced back to me in a female voice, or I can choose a male voice as well. Here we go.
J dois faire les magasins au club de Ballard parce que.
And sometimes it doesn't work. So that's doing that in an English accent for some reason. So I'll just do that. Occasionally it does that, but normally it works fine. Let me just try that again, which is obviously very amusing when that happens. Let me just try it again.
J dois faire les magasins au club de Ballard.
Let me just refresh the page. Let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, I did this yesterday. It was absolutely fine. So let me just spin the wheel. Let's do this one more time. Right, so let's highlight the text. Right click, Helper Bird, Immersive Reader. Right, let's go for it.
Je peux faire du vélo en hiver, mais s'il y a du soleil.
And now it works fine. Phew. Right, so then you click on the voice settings option. You can choose a male voice, a female voice. You can make it quicker or slower by moving the slider from the left to the right, or vice versa. So that's how that works. So that's called Flippity Randomiser. And to make your own, you simply go to Flippity, like this. This is where all the activities are. You click on the Flippity Randomiser, you click Instructions, you follow the instructions, and then you're good to go. Okay, if I had a bit more time, I would show you, but we're sort of running out of time now. And then the Chrome extension, the link to that is there. If I go on to the next page, this is a screenshot of the Google Sheet that you create. You need to have a Google account to do this, to use Flippity, and it gives you lots of different activity types that you can use. So this is particularly good for GCSE speaking practice. And you can see that you've got the different columns. So you simply copy the template, you fill in the template with your own options, and you can have a number of different columns. You could have 4 or 5 or what have you. And that's how that works. So that's really, really nice, I think. And if you go on to the next one, that's another example of another Flippity activity. So if I click on here, this link right now, I can, this is called the Flippity Manipulatives activity. So I click play.
Last week I went to the cinema to watch the latest James Bond film. It was great.
Okay, so we got the audio there, and simply what you have to do is you have to put the tiles back into the correct order. So we had, for example, last week, yeah, I went, etc., etc. And then each time you refresh the page like this, the tiles are reset in a random order. So again, for listening comprehension practice, that could be very nice. And to do that, you just go to Flippity, you go to the Manipulatives activity, you click on the link, you follow the instructions, and away you go. So it's very simple. That's using Vocaroo as well. You simply record the audio in Vocaroo, get the link, put it into the spreadsheet, and it will generate that activity for you. So there we are. If I go on to the next one, that's the presentation. If you'd like to access this right now. So for all the tools, I think I'm right in saying all the tools I've mentioned, if they're to do with writing, you can write the text in Arabic, yes. If you get stuck with it, just send me a message, but I think I'm right in saying you will be able to write it in Arabic, which is why I've been showing it to you. The only thing that I know doesn't work, I think I'm right in saying, is the word cloud in Mentimeter. That doesn't work in Arabic, but when it's just inputting text, you should be absolutely fine. But if you get stuck, just send me a message. I know with Quizizz, I actually did a Twitter search for Quizizz. In fact, I would recommend doing a Twitter search for the name of the tool plus the word Arabic. So for example, I just put in Quizizz Arabic. And by doing that, I was able to see examples from different schools around the world who are using that particular tool with the use of Arabic. So I know hand on heart that Quizizz definitely works with Arabic. So this presentation, you can access it via the following link, is.gd/Arabic BC2. And there we are. I hope you found that useful. I know that was a whistle-stop tour. We did everything apart from Socrative, but if you go onto YouTube and do a search for Socrative tutorial, you'll be able to find it. So what I've tried to do today is giving you lots of ideas that were particularly appropriate for Key Stage 4 for formative assessment opportunities, some tools of which allow you to export the results as an Excel spreadsheet, which means you can then look at all the answers and see where there are gaps in knowledge and then put intervention strategies in. The speaking ideas as well is around QWIQR Conversations is really nice. You could also look at Flipgrid. If you haven't seen Flipgrid before, then if you go onto my YouTube channel, I've done various tutorials and webinars around Flipgrid, so you can get an idea of how that works. If you've not seen it before, that's also very good for speaking in a moderated environment as well. So hopefully you found that useful. Hopefully that's given you some ideas on how you can use these sorts of tools in a remote teaching context, particularly aimed at Key Stage 4 and formative assessment, because that's what I was trying to show in this session. Again, I'd like to thank the British Council and Qatar Foundation International for giving me this opportunity of presenting with you. And if you would like further support, I'm more than happy to field any questions that you might have. I've given you my Twitter handle and my email address. And if you'd like further support, further webinars, just let me know. And I would love to help you with those as well, or any topics you'd like me to cover in the future. But yeah, thank you ever so much for the feedback. That's lovely. And I will stop sharing my screen right now. I will turn on my webcam. If you all want to turn on your webcams and you want to say something right now, or if Tony or Vicky want to say something, that'd be awesome as well. But thank you ever so much, everybody. I'm still recording right now, but I'll stop recording once you sort of officially finish the meeting, if that's okay. So I will, yeah, that's all good. Right, fantastic. So there we go. I think because I've muted everybody, you might not be able to unmute yourselves, but let me just make sure that Tony is, oh no, Tony is unmuted. Tony, do you want to say a few words to finish off with?
No, well, thank you, Joe. That's fantastic. Yeah, really lots of interesting ideas and things you can use, you know, to get the students a bit of a competitive edge, which I think is always a good idea. So let's keep in touch. Everybody, if you enjoyed that, please let us know, and please let us know if you have any thoughts for any other kinds of things, you know, you'd like us to arrange with Joe, or other kinds of webinars we could set up. Vicky, do you have anything you'd like to add before we close?
I'm not sure if I muted Vicky. Let me just check. Is Vicky still with us? Let's have a quick look. I can't see Vicky in the room right now, so I'm not sure if Vicky's actually in
okay, that's fine. So we'll say goodbye and we'll close down the webinar. And Joe, thank you so much once again.
You're welcome. My pleasure. I just wanted to say as well, with Socrative, it definitely works with Arabic as well, because again, I've done a Twitter search and I can say hand on heart that Socrative also works with Arabic. So everything I've shown you, if it allows you to input text, you can input Arabic in it. And if I generally mean this, if you get any problems with any of the ideas around using Arabic, just let me know. But I think I'm right in saying that everything that I've shown you will work in Arabic, which is why I've shown it to you. So thanks ever so much, everyone. Stay in touch if you need any more support. Good luck. Stay safe and enjoy your lessons moving forward. So I'm going to press stop recording now.